I'm standing outside a café in downtown Vancouver, watching snow fall through amber streetlights. And I'm about to walk into a blind date I didn't even want. Not because I'm not ready, I am. Or at least, I've convinced myself I am. It's been 8 months since Claire and I ended things. 8 months since I finally admitted that being with someone shouldn't feel like constantly apologizing for taking up space. 8 months since I moved out of the apartment where I'd spent 3 years making myself smaller, quieter, less. My best friend Maya set this up. "You need to remember what it's like," she'd said, "to have someone look at you like you're interesting instead of inconvenient." So here I am, proving a point, mostly to myself. I push open the door, and warm air hits my face along with the smell of coffee and cinnamon. The cafe is one of those places that tries too hard to be cozy. Edison bulbs, exposed brick, indie music playing just loud enough to make conversation feel intimate. It's objectively charming. It's also packed, which means I have to actually look for my date instead of pretending I couldn't find her and leaving. Maya showed me exactly one photo. Brown hair, kind eyes, a smile that looked genuine. Her name is... And then I see her. Not the woman from the photo. Well, yes, the woman from the photo. But also, Bonnie Richardson from my comparative literature class 6 years ago. Bonnie, who sat 2 rows ahead of me every Tuesday and Thursday, who always had annotations in 3 different colors, who once gave a presentation on Toni Morrison that made half the class cry. Bonnie, who I watched from a distance because I was with Claire, because I'd convinced myself that the tight feeling in my chest whenever Bonnie laughed was just admiration, nothing more. Bonnie, who I haven't thought about in years. That's a lie. I've thought about her. Just never let myself think about her too long. She's at a corner table looking at her phone and she hasn't seen me yet. She's wearing a dark green sweater that makes her hair look warmer than I remember, and there's a confidence in the way she sits, like she's comfortable taking up exactly the amount of space she needs. Not more, not less. Just right. I could leave. She hasn't looked up. I could text Maya some excuse about food poisoning or a sudden work emergency, and Bonnie would never know I was here. But then she glances toward the door, and her eyes meet mine, and something flickers across her face that I can't quite name. Recognition, yes. But also something else. Something that makes my pulse stutter. She smiles. Not the polite smile you give a stranger. The kind that says, "Oh, it's you." And I realize, with a clarity that's almost uncomfortable, she remembers me too. I walk toward her table and my hands are shaking slightly, which is ridiculous. This is a blind date. We're both here because we're single and optimistic enough, or delusional enough, to think a dating app algorithm might know something we don't. Except it's not blind anymore. And I don't know what that means. "Lucy," she says as I reach the table, and the way she says my name makes it sound like something worth saying. I had a feeling it might be you when I saw the profile, but I thought maybe I was wrong. You weren't wrong. I sit down across from her, unwinding my scarf with fingers that still haven't steadied. Hi. Hi. She's still smiling, and there's something careful in it, like she's trying to read me as much as I'm trying to read her. This is unexpected. Understatement. I manage a laugh that sounds more nervous than I'd like. How long has it been? 5 years? 6, she says. You were dating someone, Claire, right? I'm surprised she remembers the name. Surprised, and something else I don't want to examine too closely. Yeah, we broke up. I'm sorry. Don't be. It comes out sharper than I intend, and I soften it with, it was the right call. She nods slowly, and I can see her doing that thing psychologists probably learn in grad school. Holding space, not pushing. For what it's worth, you seem different. Good different. Different how? I don't know yet, she says, but I'm looking forward to finding out. And just like that, the tight feeling in my chest is back. The one I spent 3 years convincing myself meant nothing. The one I'm not sure I can convince myself about anymore. 6 years ago, I met Bonnie in a classroom that smelled like old books and instant coffee. I was 22, 2 years into a relationship with Claire that felt like proof I was doing everything right. Claire was pre-law, ambitious, The kind of person who color-coded her calendar and knew exactly where she'd be in 5 years. Dating her felt like being part of a plan, and I liked plans. Plans were safe. Bonnie sat 2 rows ahead of me, and I told myself I noticed her because she asked good questions, because her insights were sharp, because she had this way of tilting her head when she was thinking that made her look like she was listening to music no one else could hear. I told myself a lot of things. I never spoke to her beyond polite hallway nods and one group project where we barely interacted because I made sure we were always in different subgroups. It was easier that way. Easier than acknowledging the way my attention snagged on her every time she walked into a room. After that semester ended, I didn't see her again. I graduated, moved in with Claire, started freelancing as a copywriter because my creative writing degree wasn't practical enough for a real career. At least that's what Claire said whenever I mentioned wanting to work on my novel. I told myself she was being realistic, supportive even. But somewhere along the way, I stopped writing anything that wasn't client work. Stopped going to bookstores for hours, stopped being the version of myself who once stayed up until 3 a.m. because a sentence wouldn't leave me alone. I didn't notice it happening. That's the thing about making yourself smaller. It's gradual. A compromise here, a concession there, until one day you look in the mirror and barely recognize the person looking back. It took 3 years for me to admit that love shouldn't feel like an apology. The breakup was quiet. No screaming, no drama, just me finally saying, "I don't think this is working," and Claire responding with, "I've been thinking the same thing." We divided our books and our furniture with the efficiency of people who'd stopped being a team a long time ago. Maya, my best friend since high school, and the only person who ever told me gently that I seemed dimmer around Claire, was the one who suggested I try dating again. "You don't have to marry anyone," she'd said over wine and takeout 2 months ago. "Just remember what it feels like to be seen." So I made a profile, swiped through strangers, agreed to this blind date mostly because Maya wouldn't stop pestering me, and also because part of me wanted to prove I could do it, that I was ready. I didn't expect it to be Bonnie. Before we go any further, I'd love for you to subscribe to the channel and hit that like button. It really helps me keep bringing you these stories every week. And drop a comment letting me know what city and country you're watching from. I love seeing how far these stories reach. Now back to that cafe in Vancouver. The server comes by and we both order coffee. Bonnie gets a latte, I get an Americano. And there's this moment of small talk about the weather, about how crowded the cafe is, about nothing that matters. But underneath it, there's something else. A current I can feel but can't name. "So," Bonnie says after the server leaves, "are we going to pretend this is a normal blind date, or can we acknowledge that it's incredibly weird?" I laugh, and it's the first real sound I've made all night. It's so weird. Good weird or bad weird? I consider this. Consider her. I don't know yet. Fair. She leans back in her chair, and I catch myself noticing the way her hands wrap around her mug, the silver ring on her right thumb. "For the record, I liked you in that class. I always kind of wanted to talk to you more, but you seemed unavailable." I was, I admit, very unavailable. And now? Now I'm trying to figure out what available even looks like. She nods like she understands exactly what I mean. And maybe she does. Maybe that's why we're both here. 2 people who swiped right on a photo and ended up with something far more complicated than a first date. "Well," she says, "I'm glad the algorithm has a sense of humor." Or a sense of irony. Maybe both. Our coffee arrives, and I take a sip, letting the warmth spread through me. Across from me, Bonnie is smiling again, and I realize with a strange, quiet certainty, I'm not ready for this, but I'm not leaving either. We talk for an hour, maybe more, and it shouldn't be this easy, but it is. Bonnie tells me she finished her PhD in clinical psychology 2 years ago, that she works with teenagers now, mostly queer kids navigating families who don't understand them. There's a steadiness in the way she talks about her work, not like she's trying to impress me, just like she cares. Deeply. I tell her I'm still writing, though still feels generous. Copywriting pays the bills, but the novel I started years ago is collecting digital dust in a folder I haven't opened in months. "Why not?" she asks, and there's no judgment in it, just curiosity. I shrug, wrapping my hands around my mug even though the coffee's gone lukewarm. I guess I convinced myself it wasn't worth the time, that I should focus on things that actually make money. Did you convince yourself, or did someone convince you? The question lands harder than she probably intended, and I have to look away for a second. Because she's right. It was Claire who always sighed when I mentioned my novel, who'd say things like, "That's nice, but what's your real plan?" Until eventually I stopped mentioning it at all. Both, I finally say. It was both. Bonnie doesn't push. She just nods. And somehow that feels like more than enough. The conversation shifts to lighter things. Books we've both read, the absurdity of Vancouver's housing market, a disastrous pottery class Bonnie took last year that resulted in a bowl so lopsided it could only hold exactly 3 grapes. She pulls up a photo on her phone and I laugh so hard I almost knock over my mug. "I kept it," she says, grinning. "It's on my kitchen counter, a monument to my hubris." That's not hubris, that's optimism. Same thing, depending on the day. And it's easy. God, it's so easy. Talking to her feels like slipping into a conversation we've been having for years, one that just paused for a while and picked back up exactly where it left off. Except we never had this conversation. We barely spoke 6 years ago. But it feels like we should have. I'm mid-sentence, something about a book I just finished, when I see her. Claire. She's across the café, sitting at a table near the window with a woman I don't recognize. The woman is talking animatedly, gesturing with her hands, and Claire is smiling, but it's the smile she uses when she's being polite, when she's already checked out. I know that smile. I was on the receiving end of it for most of our last year together, and then Claire glances up, and her eyes meet mine. For a second, neither of us moves. The cafe is loud, espresso machines hissing, conversations overlapping, but in that moment, it's silent. She looks at me, then at Bonnie, then back at me. And I see it. The flicker of something I can't quite name. Not anger, not hurt. Something closer to realization. I force myself to look away, back at Bonnie, who's still talking about the book. She hasn't noticed, and I don't want her to, because if she notices, then I'll have to explain, and I don't know how to explain the way my pulse just spiked. "You okay?" Bonnie asks, and I realize I've gone quiet. "Yeah." I manage a smile. "Sorry." Thought I saw someone I knew. She glances over her shoulder, casual, then back at me. "Did you?" "Yeah, but it's fine." It is fine. It has to be fine. Claire and I are over. She's on a date, or at least it looks like a date, and I'm on a date, and that's how this works. That's what moving on looks like. Except I didn't expect it to feel like this. Like being caught. Like I'm doing something wrong, even though I'm not. Bonnie's watching me, and there's something careful in her expression, like she's putting pieces together. "Ex?" she asks quietly. I nod. "Want to leave?" I should say yes. Should suggest we go somewhere else. Anywhere else. But part of me doesn't want to. Part of me wants to stay exactly where I am, with Bonnie across from me, proving something I didn't even know I needed to prove. "No," I say. "I'm good here." And I mean it. Because when I look back at Bonnie, at the way she's looking at me, patient, understanding, not demanding anything, I realize something. For the first time in years, I don't feel like I'm apologizing for existing. I feel like I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. We stay for another half hour, and I'm hyper-aware of Claire's presence across the room. Not because I want to look at her. I don't. But because I know she's looking at us. At me. I can feel it in the prickle at the back of my neck, the way my posture goes just slightly too straight. It's the same feeling I used to get when I knew I'd disappointed her, when I'd forgotten to pick up her dry cleaning or stayed up too late working on a short story instead of coming to bed. Bonnie doesn't seem to notice, or if she does, she doesn't say anything. She's telling me about a client. No names, no details, just the broad strokes of a kid who came out to her parents last month and is still navigating the aftermath. They love her, Bonnie says. They're just scared. And sometimes love and fear look the same from the outside. I think about Claire, about the way she used to say she loved me, but also needed me to be more practical, more realistic, less much. Do they ever figure it out? I ask. The parents, I mean. Do they ever stop being scared? Some do, some don't. Bonnie's voice is gentle but honest. But it's not really about them, you know? It's about the kid learning she doesn't need their permission to be herself. The words settle into me in a way I don't expect, and I have to look down at my empty mug because suddenly my throat feels tight. You're good at this, I say after a moment. At therapy speaking? She grins. Hazard of the profession. I'll try to turn it off. Don't. I meet her eyes, and the honesty of it surprises me. I mean it. You're good at seeing people. Her smile softens. So are you. You just don't always see yourself. It's not a question, but it feels like one. And I don't know how to answer it, so I don't. Instead, I ask, do you think people can really change? Like, fundamentally? I think people can grow, she says, if they want to. If they let themselves. And if they don't want to, then they stay exactly where they are, and everyone around them has to decide if that's somewhere they can live. I swallow hard because I know she's not talking about anyone specific, but it feels like she's talking about everything. About Claire, who loved me but needed me to be smaller. About me, who let myself become smaller because it felt easier than fighting. About the last 3 years, and how long it took me to realize I was suffocating. Bonnie reaches across the table, her fingers brushing mine. Light, tentative, a question more than a statement. For what it's worth, she says quietly. I'm really glad you're here. My heart does something stupid and arrhythmic, and I don't pull my hand away. Me too, I whisper. And I mean it. But then I make the mistake of glancing toward the window, and I see Claire standing up, pulling on her coat. Her date is still sitting, looking confused, and Claire is saying something I can't hear. Probably an excuse. Probably a polite exit. She doesn't look at me as she leaves, but I feel the weight of her absence like a door closing. And I realize she saw me happy. Saw me laughing with someone who isn't her. Saw the version of me I used to be before I learned to make myself convenient. Part of me feels guilty. Like I should have warned her somehow that I'd be here. Like running into each other was a betrayal, even though it wasn't planned. But another part, a part that's been buried for a long time, feels something else. Relief. Because she saw me, and I wasn't small. I was just me. Bonnie squeezes my hand gently, pulling my attention back. You sure you're okay? Yeah. I squeeze back. I think I am. Good. She lets go, but slowly, like she's reluctant to break the contact. Because I was thinking, if you're not completely traumatized by this extremely weird blind date, maybe we could do it again sometime. Somewhere without your ex staring daggers from across the room. I laugh, and it's real. She wasn't staring daggers. She was definitely staring something. Fair, I smile. And yeah, I'd like that. Yeah? Yeah. We stand, and Bonnie walks me to the door, and when we step outside into the cold, the snow is still falling, softer now. Can I walk you home? She asks. I should say no, should take this slow, should protect myself from wanting something too much, too fast. But I don't. I'd like that, I say. And we start walking. The walk to my apartment takes 20 minutes, and we stretch it into 40. Bonnie tells me about the neighborhood she lives in. Commercial Drive, all vintage shops and murals, and the kind of coffee places that serve oat milk, before it was trendy. I tell her about mine. Kitsilano, quieter, closer to the water, the kind of place where people jog at 6 a.m. with expensive dogs. You don't strike me as a 6 a.m. jogger, she says. I'm not, but I like watching them. It's like performance art. She laughs, and the sound makes something in my chest unclench. We talk about small things, big things, everything in between. She asks about my novel, and instead of deflecting like I usually do, I actually tell her. About the protagonist who's trying to rebuild her life after losing everything. About the themes of identity and reinvention. About how I started it 5 years ago and got stuck somewhere around chapter 8 because I couldn't figure out how to make the ending feel earned. Maybe you weren't ready to write the ending yet, Bonnie says. Maybe. Or maybe you were writing the wrong ending. I stop walking and she stops too, turning to face me. The streetlights cast her face in soft gold and snow catches in her hair like confetti. What do you mean? I ask. I mean, sometimes we think we know where a story is going. But then life happens, and the story changes. And the ending we thought we needed isn't the ending that actually fits anymore. I stare at her, and something in my chest cracks open just a little. Because she's right. The ending I'd planned for that novel, the one where the protagonist learns to be okay alone, learns that she doesn't need anyone else to be whole, it felt right when I was with Claire. When I was trying to convince myself that independence was the same thing as happiness. But maybe that's not the ending anymore. Maybe the story changed. You're going to be dangerous for my productivity, I say, and my voice comes out softer than I intended. How so? Because now I actually want to write again. Her smile is small and private, like I've given her something valuable. Good. You should. We start walking again, slower now, and I'm acutely aware of the space between us. How easy it would be to close it. How much I want to. When we reach my building, I expect her to say goodbye. Instead, she lingers, hands in her pockets, looking up at the old brick facade. This is me, I say unnecessarily. It suits you. How so? I don't know. It feels solid, like it's been here a while and isn't going anywhere. I don't tell her that I almost didn't renew my lease last month. That part of me wanted to leave Vancouver entirely, start over somewhere new, somewhere without Claire's ghost in every coffee shop and bookstore. But I stayed, because running felt like something the old version of me would do, the one who made herself smaller. Do you want to come up? The words are out before I can second-guess them. Bonnie's eyes widen slightly, and I rush to clarify. Just for tea, or wine. Or, I don't know, I'm not trying to... Lucy. She's smiling. I'd love to. Relief floods through me, and I unlock the door, leading her up 3 flights of stairs to my apartment. It's small. 1 bedroom, a kitchen barely big enough for 2 people, a living room dominated by bookshelves I built myself from YouTube tutorials. Wow, Bonnie says, stepping inside. This is very you. Is that a compliment? Absolutely. She walks over to the bookshelves, running her fingers along the spines. You've organized them by color. I know it's impractical. It's perfect. She turns to me, and there's something in her expression that makes my pulse skip. It's exactly what I would have expected from you. You've known me for approximately 3 hours tonight. And 6 years ago. Don't forget 6 years ago. We barely talked 6 years ago. I know. She takes a step closer. But I noticed you anyway. The air between us shifts, becomes something heavier, more deliberate. Bonnie, I'm not expecting anything, she says quickly. I wanted you to know. That I saw you then, and I see you now. And I really like what I see. My breath catches, and I don't know what to say. Don't know how to explain that no one has looked at me like this in years, like I'm something worth paying attention to. So instead, I close the distance between us and kiss her. It's soft, tentative, a question. And when she kisses me back, it feels like an answer. We don't sleep together. We sit on my couch with tea that goes cold, talking until 2 a.m. about everything and nothing. Bonnie tells me about her worst first date, a guy who spent 2 hours explaining cryptocurrency and then asked her to Venmo him for her half of the appetizers. I tell her about the time Claire dragged me to a work gala where I knew no one, and I spent the entire night in the bathroom pretending to have digestive issues just to avoid small talk. That's commitment to the bit, Bonnie says, laughing. It was survival. Were you always that uncomfortable at those things, or did it get worse over time? I think about it. Worse. At first I tried. But Claire would introduce me as my girlfriend who writes, and people would smile politely and then ask her about law school. After a while, I stopped trying to be interesting. It was easier. That sounds lonely. It was. I looked down at my mug. But I didn't realize it until after. Bonnie shifts closer, her knee brushing mine. For the record, I think you're extremely interesting. You have to say that. We just made out on my couch. We didn't make out. We kissed. Once. Very politely. You're right. We should fix that. I'm joking. Mostly. But Bonnie's eyes darken in a way that makes my stomach flip. Should we? She asks, and her voice is low, careful. I set down my mug. I don't know. Should we? I think, she says slowly, we should do whatever feels right. No pressure, no expectations. What if I don't know what feels right yet? Then we figure it out together. She reaches for my hand, threading our fingers together, and it's such a simple gesture, but it makes my throat tight. I like you, I say quietly. Like, a lot. And that scares me. Why? Because the last time I liked someone this much, I lost myself. And I don't want to do that again. Bonnie squeezes my hand. Then don't. I'm not asking you to be anyone other than who you are. I like who you are. You don't even know me. Not yet. But I want to. And the sincerity in her voice undoes something in me. I lean in and kiss her again. And this time it's not tentative. This time it's sure. Her hand comes up to my face, her thumb brushing my cheekbone, and I feel it everywhere. In my chest, in my fingertips, in the parts of me I thought I'd lost. When we pull apart, I'm breathless. Okay, I whisper. That felt right. She grins. Yeah. Yeah. We talk for another hour, but now we're closer. Her arm around my shoulders, my head resting against her. It's easy, comfortable, like we've done this 100 times before. At some point, she checks her phone and winces. I should probably go. Early day tomorrow. I don't want her to leave, but I nod. Okay. We stand, and I walk her to the door, and when we get there, she turns to me. Can I see you again? She asks. Like soon? How soon? Tomorrow? I laugh, eager. Is that a bad thing? No. I kiss her one more time, quick and soft. Tomorrow's good. Text me when you're free. I will. She leaves, and I close the door behind her, leaning against it with a smile I can't quite control. For the first time in years, I feel like I'm doing something just for me. And it feels incredible. 3 weeks pass, and Bonnie becomes part of my routine. Coffee on Wednesday mornings before her first session. Dinner on Friday nights at a Vietnamese place near her apartment. Long walks along the seawall where we talk about everything. Her clients, my novel, the absurdity of dating apps, whether pineapple belongs on pizza. It does. She disagrees. We're working through it. I've started writing again. Not just copywriting, actual writing. The novel I abandoned months ago is open on my laptop every morning, and words are coming easier than they have in years. Maya notices. You're different, she says one afternoon over lunch. Lighter. I'm happy, I admit, and saying it out loud feels both terrifying and freeing. Good, you deserve it. But there's a part of me that's waiting for the other shoe to drop. Because happiness this easy doesn't last. Does it? On a Friday night, Bonnie and I are at my apartment cooking dinner, or rather, she's cooking while I chop vegetables with the skill level of someone who once nearly severed a finger making a salad. You're dangerous with that knife, she says, laughing as I massacre a bell pepper. I'm doing my best. I can see that. She takes the knife from me, setting it aside. How about you pour the wine instead? That I can do. I pour 2 glasses, handing one to her, and she takes a sip before turning back to the stove. I watch her move around my kitchen like she belongs there, and something in my chest tightens. Can I ask you something? I say. Always. Do you ever worry that this is too good? Like, statistically, something has to go wrong? She turns to face me fully, her expression softening. Are you waiting for me to hurt you? I don't know. Maybe. Lucy. She steps closer, setting down her wine. I can't promise I'll never hurt you. People hurt each other sometimes, even when they don't mean to. But I can promise I'll never make you small. I'll never ask you to be less than you are. How do you know? Because I see who you are, and she's pretty incredible. My eyes sting and I blink hard because I refuse to cry over pasta sauce. I'm not used to this, I admit. Someone seeing me and not wanting to fix me. You don't need fixing. Her hands come up to my face, cradling it gently. You're not broken, Lucy. You're just finding your way back to yourself. And then she kisses me, slow and deliberate, and I kiss her back like I'm trying to memorize the feeling. It escalates quickly. Hands in hair, her back against the counter, my pulse racing. The kitchen timer goes off, shrill and insistent, and we break apart, breathless. Dinner? She says, laughing. Right, dinner. We eat on the couch, plates balanced on our laps, and somewhere between the pasta and the second glass of wine, she asks, Have you told anyone about us? Maya knows. You? My best friend Jordan. They're thrilled. Apparently, I've been insufferably single for too long. How long? 2 years. She twists pasta around her fork. My last relationship ended badly. She wanted me to choose between her and my career, and I chose my career. I don't regret it, but it sucked. I'm sorry. Don't be. It taught me what I actually want, and it's not someone who needs me to shrink. What do you want? She looks at me, and her eyes are so clear, so honest. Someone who takes up space. Someone who challenges me. Someone who makes me want to be better without demanding I be different. That's a tall order. Maybe. But I think I found her. My heart does something acrobatic, and I set down my plate because I don't trust my hands to stay steady. Bonnie, you don't have to say anything, she says quickly. I just wanted you to know that this is real for me, that I'm not going anywhere unless you want me to. I don't want you to. Good. She leans in and we kiss again, and this time I let myself feel it. All of it. The want, the hope, the terrifying possibility that this might actually work. Later, when she's asleep in my bed, I lie awake and stare at the ceiling. For the first time in years, the future doesn't feel like something I have to brace myself for. It feels like something I might actually want. It happens on a Tuesday. I'm at a bookstore downtown, browsing the fiction section, when I hear her voice. Claire. She's 2 aisles over, talking to someone on the phone. I freeze, my hand halfway to a paperback I don't even want. I know, I'm trying. Her voice is tight, frustrated. It's just, seeing her that night, she looked so different, happy. And I keep thinking, was I the reason she wasn't happy before? I should leave, should slip out before she sees me, but my feet won't move. No, I'm not saying I want her back. I don't know, it's complicated. The conversation continues, but I stop listening. Because I've heard enough. She's been thinking about me, about us, about whether she made a mistake. And I don't know what to do with that information. I leave the bookstore without buying anything, and the whole walk home, my brain won't shut up. What if Claire wants to try again? What if she's changed? What if I gave up too easily? I'm spiraling. I know I'm spiraling, but I can't stop. That night, Bonnie texts, "Dinner tomorrow?" I found a new ramen place. I stare at the message for too long before replying. Can we rain check? Busy week. It's not a lie. It's just not the whole truth. The next day, Maya corners me at a coffee shop. You're avoiding Bonnie, she says, no preamble. I'm not. Don't lie to me. What happened? I tell her about the bookstore, about Claire's voice, tight with regret. Maya's expression hardens. And you're what, reconsidering? No, maybe. I don't know. Lucy. She leans forward, her eyes fierce. Claire had 3 years to make you happy. She didn't. Bonnie has had 3 weeks and you're already writing again. You're laughing again. Don't do this to yourself. But what if I didn't try hard enough? What if nothing? You tried. You bent over backwards trying. And it was never enough for her. Don't confuse familiarity with love. Her words sting because they're true. But they don't stop the doubt from creeping in. I cancel on Bonnie again the following week, and again the week after that. She doesn't push, just sends gentle check-ins. Hope you're okay. I'm here when you're ready, which somehow makes it worse. Because she's being patient, understanding, everything Claire never was. And I'm repaying her by pulling away. 3 weeks into my self-imposed distance, my phone rings. It's an unknown number, but I answer anyway. Lucy? Claire. My stomach drops. How did you get this number? Maya gave it to me. Don't be mad at her. I convinced her it was important. What do you want? There's a pause. Then, can we talk? In person? Every instinct screams no, but I hear myself say, fine. When? Tomorrow. That cafe where we used to go. You know the one. I do. It's the place we went every Sunday morning for 2 years. The place where I used to order the same thing because Claire liked routine, even though I wanted to try something new. Okay, I say. Tomorrow. I hang up and immediately I know it's a mistake, but I go anyway. Claire looks the same, polished, put together, the kind of beautiful that turns heads. Thanks for meeting me, she says as I sit down. What do you want, Claire? I wanted to apologize for everything. For not seeing you, for not appreciating what we had. Why now? Because I saw you that night with her, and you looked so happy. And I realized I never made you look like that. My chest tightens. So this is about your guilt? No. It's about me realizing I made a mistake. I let you go, and I shouldn't have. Claire, I'm not asking you to take me back. I just needed you to know that I see it now, that I'm sorry. And I look at her, really look at her, and I feel nothing. No anger, no longing. Just a quiet, distant sadness for the version of me who thought this was love. Thank you for apologizing, I say. But we're not getting back together. I figured, but I had to try. You had 3 years to try. She flinches and I feel a flicker of guilt. But I don't take it back. I hope you're happy, she says finally. I am. Good. You deserve it. I leave the cafe, and for the first time since I heard her voice in the bookstore, my head is clear. I know what I want. And it's not this. I text Bonnie that night, "Can we talk?" She responds immediately, "Of course. My place or yours?" "Yours. I'll be there in 20. The 20-minute drive feels like an eternity. My hands are shaking on the steering wheel and I keep rehearsing what I'm going to say. I'm sorry. I panicked. I thought I needed to figure out my past, but I was just scared of my future. When I knock on her door, she answers in sweatpants and a hoodie, her hair tied back, no makeup. She looks soft and real and so beautiful it hurts. "Hi," she says. "Hi. Come in." I follow her inside and we sit on her couch, the same couch where we've watched movies and talked for hours. But now it feels like there's a canyon between us. "I'm sorry," I start, and my voice cracks. "I've been distant, and that wasn't fair to you." "What happened?" Her voice is gentle, but I can hear the hurt underneath. I tell her everything. The bookstore. Claire's call. The meeting. I needed to know, I say. If there was still something there. If I was making a mistake by moving on. And? She's not looking at me. Was there? No. I reach for her hand, but she pulls away. Bonnie, there wasn't. I sat across from her and I felt nothing. Just sadness for who I used to be. Then why does it feel like you're here to end things? I'm not. You pulled away for weeks, Lucy. You barely responded to my texts. And now you're here telling me you met up with your ex because you needed to know. Her voice shakes. That doesn't feel like someone who's sure about us. I was scared, I admit. I was scared that I was rushing into something, that I was using you to avoid dealing with my past. But I wasn't. I'm not. How do I know that? She finally looks at me, and her eyes are bright with unshed tears. How do I know you won't wake up in a month or 6 months or a year and decide you need to figure things out again? You don't. My own tears spill over. I can't promise I won't be scared sometimes, or that I won't mess up, but I can promise that I want this. I want you. And I'm sorry I made you doubt that. She's quiet for a long time, and I sit there in the silence, letting her process, letting her decide. I don't want to be your rebound, she says finally. I don't want to be the person you're with because you're afraid of being alone. You're not. You're the person I'm with because when I'm with you, I feel like myself, the version of myself I forgot existed. But you pulled away. You shut me out. I know, and I'm so sorry. I was wrong. Why should I believe this won't happen again? Because I'm choosing you. Not because you're convenient or safe or easy, but because you make me want to be braver. And I don't want to lose that. She wipes at her eyes, and I hate that I made her cry. Hate that I hurt her when all she ever did was see me. I need time, she says quietly. To think about whether I can trust this. Trust you. It feels like the floor drops out from under me, but I nod. Okay. I'm not saying no, I need to know you're sure. I am sure. Then prove it. She stands, and I know I'm being dismissed. I stand too, my chest tight, my hands shaking. I'm really sorry, I say again. I know. I leave, and the drive home is a blur of tears and regret. When I get back to my apartment, I sit on my couch and stare at the bookshelves Bonnie admired, the space where she sat and laughed and made me feel like I was enough. And I realize I might have just lost the best thing that's happened to me in years. Not because of Claire, but because I let fear win. I open my laptop, and for the first time in weeks, I write. Not copywriting, not editing. Just raw, honest words about loss and fear and the terrifying act of letting someone see you. I write until my eyes burn and my fingers ache. And when I'm done, I know what I have to do. It takes me 2 days to finish it. The short story is 8,000 words. Small, contained, but more honest than anything I've written in years. It's about a woman who convinces herself she's broken beyond repair, until someone shows her she was never broken at all, just lost. It's about me, and Bonnie, and everything I was too scared to say out loud. I don't overthink it. I just send it to her with a message. I wrote this for you. Whether or not you want to see me again, I needed you to have it. Then I wait. 1 day, 2 days, 3. She doesn't respond. By the 4th day, I've convinced myself it's over, that I ruined it beyond repair. And then, on Friday evening, she texts. I read it. My heart stops. And, can you come over? I'm in my car before I can think twice. When she opens the door, I can't read her expression. Hi, I say. Hi. She steps aside, letting me in. We sit on her couch, the same couch where I left her in tears a week ago, and the silence is unbearable. Your story, she starts, and her voice is careful. It wrecked me. I'm sorry. In a good way. She finally looks at me. It was beautiful, Lucy, and honest. And I read it 3 times because I needed to make sure I wasn't projecting. Projecting what? That you meant it. That you really see this. See us. The way I do. I do. I shift closer. I was terrified. Terrified that I'd lose myself again. That I'd repeat the same mistakes. But pulling away from you didn't protect me. It just made me miserable. Why did you meet with Claire? Because I needed closure. Not with her. With that version of myself. The one who thought love meant making yourself smaller. I take a breath. But the second I sat across from her, I knew. It wasn't her I needed to let go of. It was the fear that I'd never be enough. You are enough, Bonnie says softly. You always were. I know that now, because you showed me. She's quiet, and I can see her processing, weighing. I don't want to be with someone who's going to run every time things get hard, she says. I won't. I can't promise I won't be scared sometimes, but I won't run. Not from you. How do I know that? Because I'm here. Because I wrote you 8,000 words about how much you mean to me. Because I'm willing to sit here and let you decide, even if it terrifies me. Her eyes search mine, and I let her look. Let her see everything. I missed you, she finally says, and her voice breaks. I missed you too. Don't do that again. Don't shut me out. I won't. Promise me. I promise. She closes the distance between us, her hands framing my face, and when she kisses me, it's not tentative or careful. It's sure. I kiss her back, and it feels like coming home. I love you. I whisper against her lips, and the words feel terrifying and right all at once. She pulls back just enough to meet my eyes. Say it again. I love you. Her smile is slow, radiant. I love you too. And just like that, the weight I've been carrying for weeks dissolves. We spend the rest of the night on her couch, her head on my shoulder, my fingers in her hair. We talk about the future, not in vague terms, but in real ones. About introducing her to my parents. About weekend trips to Seattle. About what it looks like to build something that lasts. I'm still going to mess up sometimes, I say. I know. So will I. But we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. She kisses me again, soft and lingering, and I think about the blind date that wasn't really blind, about the algorithm with a sense of humor, about 6 years of almost finally becoming a yes. Thank you, I say. For what? For seeing me. For not giving up on me. Thank you for letting me. I pull her closer, and we stay like that, tangled together, warm and certain, while snow falls outside her window. For the first time in years, the future doesn't feel like something to survive. It feels like something to live. 3 months later, I finish my novel. It's not the same one I started 5 years ago. That story belongs to a version of me I'm not anymore. This one is new. About second chances and the courage it takes to choose yourself. About love that doesn't ask you to shrink. Bonnie reads it in one sitting, curled up on my couch with a blanket and a mug of tea that goes cold. When she finishes, she looks up at me with tears in her eyes. You're dedicating it to me? If that's okay. It's more than okay. She sets the laptop aside and pulls me into her arms. I'm so proud of you. I couldn't have done it without you. Yes, you could have, but I'm glad you didn't have to. We're planning a trip to Portland next month. Bonnie wants to visit Powell's, and I want to see the Japanese garden. We've started talking about what it might look like to move in together. Not now, but eventually. When it feels right. Everything feels right with her. We still have hard days. Days when my insecurities creep in. When I worry I'm taking up too much space. Days when she's exhausted from work and needs quiet. But we talk about it. We don't run. And slowly, I'm learning that love doesn't have to be a negotiation. It can just be easy. Last week, we ran into Claire at a farmer's market. She was with someone new, and she looked happy. We exchanged polite hellos, and that was it. No drama. No lingering looks. Just two people who used to know each other, moving forward in different directions. You okay? Bonnie asked after. Yeah, I said. And I meant it, because I am okay, more than okay. I'm standing in a kitchen with a woman who loves me, chopping vegetables for a dinner we're making together, laughing when I inevitably mess up the measurements. I'm writing every morning, not because I have to prove something, but because I want to. I'm taking up space, in my apartment, in my relationship, in my own life. And it doesn't feel selfish. It feels like coming home. That blind date, the one I almost didn't go on, the one I thought was just about proving I'd moved on. It wasn't about closure. It was about beginning. And I'm so grateful I said yes. If you enjoyed this story, please subscribe to the channel and leave a like. Your support is what allows me to keep creating these stories every week. And if you haven't already, drop a comment below. Tell me what you thought, what your favorite moment was, or just where you're watching from. Every subscription, like, and comment matters more than you know. It's what keeps this channel going and these stories coming. Thank you for being here. I'll see you in the next one.